Hey there, and welcome back to Design for Scientists. And today we're going to be talking about research posters and everything you need to know in order to create an effective one. So what is a research poster? Well, it's basically a tool for two specific things. One is for communicating your science, and two, for networking. So because of this, you have to know that your poster is not your paper, is not your slide presentation, and it's not your entire life's work. Your poster should focus in one single message, one key takeaway, something that one will be able to remember afterwards. And people are not really good with remembering stuff. So one key takeaway and you should be very happy with the result. So how can you tell this story? Well, there are a lot of known sections, and these are a few ones. But you have to carefully select what you want to say. Really, you have to make important information stand out. And 90% of the time, you have to have an introduction that will hook people and they will get interest in what you have to say and what you have to show there. The results, which most of the time are the most important thing, and then the conclusion that will wrap up the message that you want to convey. And a good thing that you can do before starting your poster is figuring out what's the information that you want to put there. And then you have everything in a Word document or anything that you can track your word count. And most importantly, check your spelling. Obviously, you don't want to have any typos there. The objective here is to cut down on text. Some people say that your whole poster should have 250 words. Other people say that it should be less than 800 words. Well, for me, I would say that most people won't really read any block of text. But in any case, you should just know that your poster is actually not specifically meant to be read. It's meant to be understood. As I said before, it's a communication tool, and it's meant to be a conversation starter. Again, it's also a networking tool. Now you should have everything in place in terms of explaining your key takeaway. You can start defining your layout. And the most common orientation would be landscape, and a very standard size would be 48 inches by 36. But always check your conference guidelines. Rules differ from one another. And you want to know that before starting to design your poster. Now, your layout has to be consistent and clean. And how can we do that? Well, there are different types of layouts. This is the 4 columns, for example. And this is my favorite one that has the large central box. I like it because it draws attention to the middle, and you can put there the most important things, which most of the time would be your results. So you can have maybe 1 or 2 figures there, or even 3. And also I think that the hierarchy here works really well. The first thing that people would see, obviously, is the title, as every other poster. And then attention should be drawn to the middle. And inside the middle part, you also have hierarchy. Now about backgrounds, just use a light plain background. The reason is, this doesn't work, especially when you have a dark background. It's really hard for the eyes. Also, it will really mess your figures. So just go for a light plain background, and white will do. Now we're talking about colors, so what about the colors? Colors can be a complicated subject, but our advice is go for one main color and then have a darker version of it. Or the other way around, if your main color is a bit dark, then you have a lighter version of it. Also, if you want to highlight something, you can have a third color, and that's called the accent color. And it serves a really good purpose in terms of shifting the attention of everyone towards something that you want them to see. Also, a great advice is to color pick your institution's logo for consistency. For instance, Louise obtained her master's degree at IED, which is the European Institute of Design, and what she could do is just color pick the logo, and that will increase the consistency in terms of colors of her poster. But just be careful. Red is a very aggressive color, and it mixes very badly with green. It has a very bad contrast, and it's also the most common form of color blindness. So just avoid that color combination. Now your title and headings are important. In terms of the title, you make an effort to make a short title that draws attention, and it should be less than 100 characters. Just imagine you are in that poster session, you won't be reading everything. What you will be doing is scanning through all of the posters. So if you have a short title that's interesting, you increase your chances that people will be aware of what you want to say. And for your headings, you just want to have them stand out. You want them to be defined and easy to follow. Even more, it has to be obvious in terms of flow. And now this leads us to fonts. So just don't go crazy with fonts. There's a simple guideline for fonts. For your titles and headings, use a sans serif font. And these are a few examples of ones that you can use. Being Arial the most common one. And it's no mystery why it's common. It's because it works. And the same can be said for your text blocks. However, they should be using serif fonts because that increases readability for people that will actually want to read what's going on there. And here are a few examples. Again, Times New Roman is the most common one, and it's absolutely no problem if you choose to use it. Now, in terms of the font size, it can really vary, but as a general guideline, I'll tell you that the title would be around 90 points, and then the headlines would be around 50, 60 point font. And for your text, around 30 point will be fine. Also, to increase readability, we suggest you use double spacing in your text blocks. But actually, the most important thing is that everything should be visible from 2 meters away. And a great way to test that is just put your poster on a projector and you'll be able to see if everything is visible and clear. Now in terms of alignment, you should align your content and leave empty space. That's very important. You shouldn't be overwhelming anyone in terms of visuals. You don't want to fill everything of your poster with content that will not matter. Remember, you have to focus on your single message. So how can we do that? Look, this is misaligned and it gives you a very unprofessional look. And a very simple way to fix this is using the grid lines tool in PowerPoint. You can also use the guides. And then you have something like this. It looks much cleaner, more professional, and easier to the eye. Most importantly, leave space on the edges so you don't risk getting any content cut off. And there you go. Now we're going to talk about simplifying your figures. We shouldn't be copying and pasting from your paper. Again, this is a different form of showing your work. So here, let's focus on this example. We already talked about effective data visualization in previous classes. I just want to remind you that it has to do with being attractive. And these are very standard forms of graphs, but if we use simple design principles, it can be much better visually. So for this case, we'll just remove any unnecessary borders, unnecessary labels. We'll highlight the important values, of course, but we have to be consistent with the colors. So in the end, it could look like this, much better, much cleaner, and much nicer. And as we mentioned before, you can use your accent color to highlight specific things that will help you convey your message. And just a couple bonus tips. Remember, it's a communication and networking tool. So obviously you want to include your contact information. Not only that, we recommend putting a picture of yourself there so people can easily recognize you if they want to. Also, something very powerful that people are using more and more is a QR code. And I'll leave a link below to a website that you can easily create one. The great thing about it is that you can link to anything. It can be even your contact information once again, or a digital version of your poster, or maybe your entire article. Anything, a video or a website that explains even deeper what you want to say. So I would definitely recommend that. And keep it visual. Remember, most people won't read blocks of text. And if you end up talking and presenting your poster to someone, have those visuals help you support your message. They will be there to facilitate your communication. And at last, get feedback. And not only feedback in terms of presentation, but also feedback in terms of visuals. Again, you can put in a projector so you can see if everything is clear, but also you can print in a smaller sheet of paper so you'll be able to see if it looks nice before committing to print everything. And that's it for today, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed the content. And don't forget to download your template. There is a link below. It's the exact template that I used in this class. And I see you next time.